give it away. Y'all seen the flyers, you saw the promo. We have some of the most brilliant sisters on the show with us tonight, in addition to my two co-hosts. So I'm almost compelled not to say anything to do my part because I want to bring them up. But make sure this is, you let everybody know. Let them know that Dr. Ava Muhammad, attorney Pamela Muhammad, and attorney Barbara Muhammad are on Mind and Money Matters show tonight, right now. We're about to bring them up in about 7 minutes. So give your time to hit your little share buttons and make your phone calls and all that good stuff. But in the meantime, you know the routine for Palau Worldwide Word on the Street. You must get your latest issue of the Final Call newspaper. I don't have the current issue in front of me because I sold out. I walked into Cafe Ulu. You see, I'm back in my regular spot that I broadcast from when I'm in Atlanta, Cafe Ulu. I walk in, I got a stack of newspapers, and they just flew out. Everybody wanted. Everybody wanted a copy. So, but the cover of the Final Call newspaper says, light. Let me pull it up. Y'all know what it says. You saw the issue. Make sure that you get the right issue for the Final Call newspaper. It has a beautiful picture of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on the cover. Life, light, and power. Life, light, and power. You must get a copy of the Final Call newspaper, or you can also go to finalcalldigital.com. And it's just like reading the real thing, but you're using it electronically. And you know you can get your copy here at Cafe Ulu in Southwest Atlanta, 2036 Sylvan Road, Atlanta, Georgia, 30310. Or if you're on the east side of Atlanta, you're in Lithonia, you can go to Black Dot Cultural Center and Bookstore, downtown Lithonia, and get your copy there. Or you can call me at 404-438-3156 and set up your personal delivery of the Final Call to your home or office within a 30-mile radius of Atlanta. Also, this is the 22nd of October. 22nd of October that we're doing this particular show. You know it's time for your contribution to the Economic Blueprint.org. The Economic Blueprint.org. 5 cents a day, 35 cents a week, $1.40 a month. That's only $18.20 a year. And if 16 million of us who are wage earners, business owners, worker job, contribute $18.20 a year, that would give us a collective amount of $291,200,000 in 1 year so that we can purchase the land and the resources needed for our own survival. Only a nickel a day. One little nickel. Look, I was watching one of these programs. They were trying to save some elephants or something like that, and they wanted $19 a month. We're talking $18.20 a year for your and my survival. Economicblueprint.org. And for those who are looking for employment, we have customers, we have clients whose businesses are thriving and they are looking for employees. They're looking for employees that they can coach, that are trainable in the areas of customer service, security, landscaping, and some graphic design and IT, social media posting types of things. So if you have those skills or desire to learn those skills to become viable, employable people, call 404-438-3156. Leave a message and let us know which area you're interested in. Or you say, look, I'm looking for a job. I understand you have access to jobs. That we do. We have immediate employment that's available, as well as several big projects that are coming up in the Atlanta area in the next few weeks. But we have to start the process now. Or you can email Atlanta Jobs 2019, Atlanta Jobs, JOBS 2019 at gmail.com. List your name, your telephone number, and best time to contact you, and something brief about yourself. We know a lot of people don't have resumes or bios. That's not a problem. We have people on board that can help out with that. We just need to know that you are interested, and thank you for those that we've already connected with. You've reached out, so we will put you in the loop very, very soon. So that's as we get prepared for our dynamic guest on this evening. Something I want to share real quick. I was just talking to my brother Ken here, who's the general manager of Cafe Ulu, and we were talking about the latest issue of Forbes magazine. Forbes magazine this month's issue is the 400 richest people in America. 400 richest people in America. A couple of observations. Number one, you have to be worth at least $2.1 billion. That's million with a B. You have to be worth at least $2.1 billion just to make the cut. So they have the top 400. Now, there were 204 billionaires in America that did not make the cut. 204 people in America worth $1 billion or more, but they were not rich enough to make the Forbes 400 list. Just think about that. Let that set in. And in the top 400 of the richest, only 3 black people made the list. 3 black people made the list in the top 400. You have Robert Smith, who owns a private equity firm out of Austin, Texas. He's worth, according to Forbes, $4.4 billion. Then you have David Stewart, who is the founder of an IT company in St. Louis, Missouri. He's worth $3.4 billion. And then you have Oprah Winfrey. Everybody knows Oprah. You know what Oprah does. Oprah is worth, according to Forbes, $2.8 billion. The top one on the list, the guy from Amazon, Jeff Bezos, $150 billion. It's just ridiculous amount of money. $150 billion that he's worth. But to make that list, you have to be worth at least 2.1. So there's some interesting tidbits. There's some other things I'll share throughout the month. But like I said, we're so excited to have this illustrious panel that we have with us tonight as we showcase the ministry of law and justice. And we were able to pull together some of the most brilliant minds, in my never to be humble opinion, that we have among us. And I just can't wait for you to hear from them and to get more insight into this thing called law and justice. So without any further ado, I want to bring forth my business partner, who is the ergokinesiologist of the group. She gonna look that up real quick. Yes, I labeled that.
She's ready.
As Sister Shireen said, I had to come up with something. So, ergokinesiologist of the group, who is the proprietor of Soul Wisdom International and Your Life Center in Forest Park, Georgia. Sister Sandy Buford Muhammad. Salam alaikum, Sister Sandy.
Walaikum salam. What's up, Hotep? Namaste. All of that good stuff. Y'all, I'm broadcasting live from the office today. Wow, I am excited about the show that we have planned. Oh my goodness. We got Sister Barbara, Sister Dr. Ava, Sister Student, National it's big. We've got our beloved Sister Pamela, attorneys on the line. Okay, so when we suit up like this, so I'm gonna come from the court reporting perspective. When we suit up like this, you know we mean business. We ain't coming to play.
That's
okay,
right.
So if you have not gotten in a comfortable seat with your pencil and your pad ready, make sure you do that. Like, we're gonna give y'all maybe about 2 more minutes, right? Make sure you're clicking share. If you're watching us Facebook Live, make sure you click share to let this video, this live radio program go live today. A wealth of information. Okay, so I'm not going to be long. I want to read just a little bit because of some of the topics that we will be discussing today. I think it is very appropriate for me to read our disclosure today. So, statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of Mind Money Matters live show, but they really are today, y'all. The material provided by Mind and Money Matters Radio is for educational purposes only. Mind and Money Matters live show does not warrant or guarantee the accuracy, quality, validity, completeness, or suitability of any information for any purpose. Listener is encouraged to do their own research. Okay, you know I've been talking about this Reiki, y'all. We have the Reiki workshop. The November workshop is already filled. If you didn't make it in for the November workshop, right here at Your Life Center, we have one coming up in December. And that one coming up in December is December the, hold up, wait a minute. December the 16th. So go online to Eventbrite, or you can go to Soul Wisdom INTL to go ahead and register for that Reiki workshop. I'll be speaking at, and Sister Shireen, if she was able to get that, pull that up for you so you'll get that information. Up next, Generation, we are backing our beloved Sister Stacey Abram. We'll be here in the community on Sunday with a live message from her. We'll have arts and culture. I mean, phenomenal artists, poetry, graphic artists. We will have a phenomenal time that's coming up this Sunday. I'm just excited, y'all. So do what you need to do, because we getting ready to get this thing started. So I have the honor every week, y'all. I get to do this every week, and it seems like I cannot find the word to why I got issues with that word, to adequately describe how valuable this sister are. You see her in her beautiful pink today. She is running the board for us. She is our production manager, our balancing the books and some other stuff, organizer. I'm telling you, she helps hold us together. Each one of us help hold this thing together. We are so proud of her and her accomplishments. She has traveled the world this year. She's been to Dubai. She's been over in Europe. I'm telling you, letting the world know how important it is about agriculture and our children. Teaching our children the necessities, the techniques of business. And so she has her book. She's not only talking about it, she's actually doing it. We had a couple of months ago, one of our guests was ranting and raving about our Sister Shireen because she came to their facility and the children fell in love with her. She's just magnetic. What else can we say? And she's all ours. So I am so honored to bring to you our beloved Sister Sheree Muhammad.
All praises due to Allah. Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much. I could not have done any of this without you all. So everyone is holding their own. And, you know, I bring to you the man up, you know, word on the block. And what I'm going to do with my time is I must share with you out of one of our guests today. This is out of one of her books, and it's called A New Way of Life. She'll be on in a second to talk more about it, but I just had to share this. It's on page 26 for those of you who have the book, and it says, I'm going to jump right into, because this has to deal with leadership. And those of us who are in business and who are desiring to do business, and you know that this platform is for that purpose, is to encourage us. You know, we grew dissatisfied with our energies and efforts towards doing something for self. We know this has been our teachings. We must do something for self. And then some of us are kind of like, you know, not really sure what that means. And anything that you do to elevate yourself, your family, and your people is doing for self. And we need not move out on that instruction with trepidations. So our dear Sister Ava mentioned, she said, I heard a brother say, there are three kinds of people. People who make things happen, people who watch things happen, and people who wonder what happened. Which one are you? Are you going to be the person to make things happen? Or are you going to be the person to watch things happen? Or are you going to be the person who wonders what has happened? You know, she says you have the inborn capability to be in a group. Number one, you are one who makes things happen, but you have got to start observing what is in your sphere of influence. Stop worrying about what's over there. We're in a transition period. Don't desire that which is passing away. You may have had a title or position yesterday, but today you don't have that title or position anymore. Be glad you've been liberated. You have actually graduated. All you need to be is a God. What do you want a title for when you can be a God? Just think over that. You're not living here just to be here. Understand you're powerful and you are in power. I want you today, this is Minister Ava speaking, when you leave here to look around you and begin to create a new reality. This is absolutely powerful. So if you read it before, read it again. Okay, read it again, because it will give you the motivation that you need to take the steps that you need to take to accomplish what you will. And she speaks on about that, about willing something into existence. And of course, we know that this is in our study guides as well. The more we can read it, the more it becomes the language that we actually live by, that resonates within our soul, and it becomes a part of who we are. So may Allah continue to bless you. This is my more awareness now word on the block today. So we're going to go right into bringing up our guests. Right, Sister Sarah?
Praise be to Allah. We want to bring up Sister Barbara. Let's introduce our special co-host. Oh my God, Sister Barbara, we love you to life. Our beloved Sister Barbara has been with us every year that we have been on this live, in your face, visual platform. And we love her, we honor her, we appreciate her for being here with us and helping and assisting us in the month of law and justice. So a little bit about our beloved Sister Barbara. She's been in general practice since 1986. She's worked on several cases, many cases for the Nation of Islam. Since that time, as she shared with us last month, her Sister Ava and her husband, then husband, who's been deceased now, Brother Larry, were the NOI law team for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when he decided to step up again. And so they made a name for themselves because they shut it down. When the papers were giving the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan flack, they, like she said, when they walked into the courtroom, they knew we came here for business. Don't mess with our man. Don't mess with the man of God. We ain't going out like that. So if you don't know, you better know. So they shut that all down. Our beloved Sister Barbara, she does legal seminars. Oh my gosh, she is so versatile. She works with real estate. She does real estate closings. As she mentioned to us last year, she travels back and forth to New York. Her clients, which is where she started practicing, her clients tremendously love her. They fly her in to New York. They're like, look, we know you in the ATL now. We still need you in New York. So they fly her in because they love the beautiful services that she does. She, as I mentioned, she does seminars, real estate seminars. What to do if you are arrested. These are some of her seminar topics. Why a will is necessary. Saving your home from foreclosure. Child neglect, abuse matters. She also was the Deputy Inspector General for the Department of Employment from 84 to 85. She's licensed to practice in New York State Appellate Division, New York State Eastern and Southern District Courts, the U.S. Supreme Court. Her education, she received her Juris Doctorate in 82. She received her Bachelor of Business Administration in 75. And she has continued to learn and study to perfect her craft. Now that's what you're talking about right there. So our beloved Sister Barbara, are you on the line here with us?
I believe I am. Yes, I am.
Yes, yay! How are you feeling today, beloved?
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Welcome. Thank you again for tuning in again with us this week. What are we going to do? Are we going to go right into our first guest?
I think they want to come on together.
All right, all right. So I have Sister Pamela and Dr. Ava's information. Sister Shireen, you got Dr. Ava's information?
Yeah, before we bring them up, we do have a little something special.
Ooh, I like special.
You like special?
I do.
This is a little something special. Just give me a moment here. And
if you are not encountering difficulty as you speak and preach and communicate in life, and this world is embracing you, it could only be because you are refraining from speaking the truth. So the major impediment to making any progress among ourselves as a people, one of the big ones, is that we are not in agreement on the time. If some of us, for example, are looking back at a Jesus of 2,000 years ago for guidance, and some of us are looking at a Jesus in the 21st century for guidance, then we are not in agreement. But the world we live in today, beloved, in no way resembles the world of 2,000 years ago. And as Minister Farrakhan teaches us, and as we just heard in the Holy Quran, by the time dictates the agenda. It is time for us to focus on number 4. Whether we want to face it or not, the difficulty. Number 4, the Muslim program, what the Muslims want. I will read this to you. We want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land, and that the area must be fertile and minerally rich. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply our needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. Since we cannot get along with them in peace and equality, after giving them 400 years of our sweat and blood and receiving in return some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced, we believe our contributions to this land and the suffering forced upon us by white America justifies our demand for our complete separation in a state or territory. 100 years of our sweat and blood and receiving in return some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced, we believe our contributions to this land and the suffering forced upon us by white America justifies our demand for our complete separation in a state or territory of our own. Now, the Honorable, all praise is due to Allah. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad warned us to do for self or suffer the consequences. We are now suffering the consequences. He called separation the best and only solution. We have tried to manufacture other solutions that would allow us to continue to live with white people. See, these are solutions that are not natural, beloved. These are solutions that we're coming up with today that are not in accord with the will of the Creator. The solutions we're putting in front of our people now, if we are following anything but the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, can only be the product of cowardice and a desire for assimilation and a rejection of a program that will assure our people freedom, justice, and equality. So here we are again, as Brother Ishmael pointed out last week, in the wake of the bloody, hostile murder of Trayvon Martin, which was one of the many that go on every day in America. Here we are immersed in discussing the nuances of the legal issues that are coming out of that murder. So we're debating with white people over laws that they wrote, laws that they interpret, and laws, as Minister Farrakhan said, they make mischief by means of the law. Since we live in a world that white people dominate, that they control, that is built on a doctrine of white supremacy for no other reason than the white man is white. Because of this fact, we are no closer, beloved, to achieving freedom, justice, and equality than we were during physical bondage. We will always, you can trust and believe, we will always occupy the inferior position because white America is constructed on a foundation of a doctrine of the innate, inherent inferiority of the black man and the black woman. And so those among us who are in positions of prominence and have been given a tiny measure of wealth, a tiny measure of privilege to exert influence over our people, to make them accept this unnatural, undesirable, unacceptable condition, you who do that are no longer an asset. You are now a liability because you keep us engaged in an exercise in futility. This, all praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is a self-defeating, self-destructive effort to assimilate into the white man's disintegrating world. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad's book is not called Attack on America, it's called The Fall of America. Because its time has come, and so it is disintegrating before our eyes. And focusing on assimilation into it drains us of our creative energy. We're giving all of our spiritual, mental, physical resources to upholding his world. Our community out here, void of life, void of light, because no one is working to build our community save one man and those with him, the honor.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I was on mute.
Oh my God, thank you for that beautiful surprise. Oh my God.
Yes. So, of course, our dear sister does not need any introduction at this point. We know who she is, Minister Ava Muhammad. We are extremely grateful to have her come on. And let's see, she'll be up in a second. And while she's coming in, Sister Sandy, you can introduce Sister Pam.
Absolutely. Welcome, my beloved Sister Pam. We are tremendously honored to have you on the show. Our beloved Sister Pam Muhammad, Pamela Muhammad, is a civil and human rights attorney and an advocate in Houston, Texas. Yay! I'm telling you, Texas, man, they got it covered. I'm telling you, they got it in there deep, boy. She was born and raised in St. Louis,
Yes, ma'am.
Ferguson, Missouri. She is a member of the Nation of Islam. She received her Juris Doctorate in 1990 from Southern University Law Center and also graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Information Systems from the University of Central Missouri. She is a member of the State Bar of Texas for over 26 years. Well, I think she fudging a little bit on that number, y'all. Y'all see our beautiful sister? There's no way she could have been practicing 26 years. She's eating some real good bean soup, y'all, and some toast, whole wheat bread, I'm telling you. She is also licensed to practice in the state of Missouri. She is committed to the work of bringing education, empowerment, and the benefits of law and justice to Black and underserved communities. She is in the private practice of law in Houston and St. Louis, Ferguson. Among her areas of practice are family law, business law, juvenile law, criminal law, child welfare, employment discrimination, personal injury, appellate litigation, and civil rights litigation, including constitutional violations under 42 U.S.C. 1983. Attorney Pamela Muhammad has been fighting in the courts and in the community since the early 1990s against the sweeping imprisonment and criminalization of Black youth in the school to prison pipeline, a child welfare system where its harmful policies okay, y'all, did we say it's some words that's gonna be on the show today? All right. So where its harmful policies disproportionately cause negative outcomes in poor communities. Attorney Muhammad worked in Ferguson, Missouri on issues of racial profiling, police brutality, and recently sued the CPS and Texas for its role in wrongful separating children from the families using the courts. She is live here today. She's also recognized from the National Association of Black Law Enforcement Executives, which is called NOBLE. She also volunteers on the CPS Committee on Disproportionately and the local organizing committee of the Justice or Else with the Nation of Islam. Welcome, Sister Pamela. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, ma'am. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Ma'am, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I want to greet you all again with the nation greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, beloved.
And I just wanted to thank you so much for having me on your show. This is awesome. I love business, and I really do appreciate you all giving us a chance to talk to you all tonight from the Ministry of Justice and the lawyers. So thanks again.
Thank you. Let me say this. I think I can say this on behalf of my partner, Sister Shireen, and Sister Sandy. We are jacked out of our minds right now. When we were told that Sister Pamela, who's been a guest on Mind and Money Matters live show before when we had the other platform, and Dr. Ava Muhammad, the student national spokesperson for Nation of Islam, and Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is also one of our favorite speakers, where all of us just love to hear Minister Ava teach, that you all would take the time out of your super busy schedules to come on tonight and share with our audience. We did the Holy Ghost dance last week.
All praises due to Allah, sir. Thank you.
Message from Sister Barbara that with her connections. See, for those that are listening, Sister Barbara is that quiet storm, that force behind the scenes that make things happen. That's why we love her so much. We're honored to have someone of her caliber assist us as we try to get the word out about the brilliance that we have in our nation. So I've said all of that. Now let's get to the good part. for all of you, we want to know, I know the guests, those that are listening, want to know, why did you choose the path and the profession of law in order to do that which you're doing now? You're using law to bring freedom, justice, and equality to our people. What was the first spark in you to take you down that road to using law? Sister Pamela or Dr. Ava, either one of you can start off answering that question.
Okay. Well, I guess I can. I know Sister Ava is.
I was about to say, I'm sorry, Sister Pamela, because we didn't give.
Go ahead.
We pardon us, Sister Dr. Ava. We didn't give you an opportunity to come in and give us the greetings, and you know, we were just so excited to have you. And we showed your clip, but we still would like to, you know, hear from you today and give you and welcome you with the greetings of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Well, alaikum salam, and I also want to thank Sister Shireen's brother Jahi, Sister Sandy, who I've known Sandy since she was no bigger than. And it's so wonderful to see her as a beautiful, brilliant, conscious Black woman making such an impact as all three of you are doing. And of course, Minister Farrakhan has emphasized from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that of the three sciences that are necessary to build a nation, one is the science of business.
That's right.
The other two are the science of war and the science of mating. And the Caucasian deprived us of the knowledge of all three. So this program is very important. But I talked so long on that clip, I want to get back. And I think that I was impressed with the method myself, because giving is what I got from my teacher. But I want to hear from Sister Pamela and Sister Barbara on that question of how we came into this profession.
Well, okay. And so, you know, I thank you, Sister Ava, for saying that, because as everybody knows, we feel like if Sister Ava's on the line, we just want to hear Sister Ava speak. So she had mentioned, you know, that she wanted us to share. So let me try to share. But, you know, I think my answer would be that as a child growing up in St. Louis, I encountered a lot of racism. Now, we had the backdrop of Martin Luther King and the great civil rights leaders, but we also I grew up in a city that there was a lot of racial injustice. So I found myself as a child always having something to say against it and encouraging other people. Did you hear what they said? You know, my friends would kind of say, oh, here she goes again. Because, you know, I would kind of be a little sensitive. And I think it's because my parents came from Mississippi, and my mother, you know, she was this strong.
I know Brother Jahi was going to jump in on that one. Mississippi.
And my dad, he was one who always wanted us to read and seek knowledge and know what was going on politically, what was going on in the world. So it just combined with me to end up, you know, going to law school to do some formal training to do this. But along the way, and I think it's a point, you know, I was encouraged to get wanted to make sure that I could make a living. You know, I got a business degree, and that was a choice, you know, that I'm glad that I did, because it was kind of one of those things that helped me be the kind of lawyer that I am. So, you know, but I just want to say, Sister Ava's point about seeking Jesus, you know, Jesus being in our presence for guidance. You know, it was only when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, when I began to hear him and parse what he was saying. You know, I'm the kind of person that if the minister says a whole article, I might break it down to one word. or one sentence, because it's always so rich. So in my beginning of my practice, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's guidance after I got out of law school was really what shaped me and gave me the proper perception, regarding what's going on in our world. So that's what I would say. He definitely inspired me to become a fighter, which I strive to be for our people.
Fantastic. Sister Pamela, you mentioned that your parents are from, or that you grew up in St. Louis. I was going to ask you, what part of Mississippi is your family from? Because I know that was one of the migration patterns, and you just happened to mention that they are from Mississippi. So, Cousin Pamela, what part of Mississippi your family from?
Well, you know what? My family is from Greenville. They're from Greenville, Mississippi,
In
right
the
in
Delta,
the heart
yes.
of the Delta.
Okay,
And,
all right.
yes, sir. And so, that was the migration. And that's what we found when we came to St. Louis, or at least when I was born, because I was the only one of my siblings born there. So I'm one of those people who believe that I'm really from Mississippi, even though I grew up in St. Louis, because we would go home. But, the point I'm trying to make is that prior to integration, many of those people came out of Mississippi and they started their own businesses. So I was born into a family where my uncle had an auto repair. One was an upholsterer. My dad had a, janitorial company. Everybody, they were the ones like kind of doing what you see many of the Hispanic people doing, the Mexicans doing today. We cut grass, we barbecue, we fry. We were always doing so much to try to create income. And it was, there were very decent outcomes from that. I'm definitely glad to have seen that model. But we're from Greenville, the heart of the cotton producing place in the South, sir.
Right. Now it is part of the catfish capital of the world.
Yes. Okay, yes, sir.
All the fields into catfish ponds.
That's right. Those farms.
Okay. Yes, wonderful. Oh, I've also failed to mention, or still want to mention that Dr. Ava is our very own Nation of Islam Oprah type. She's a media mogul.
That's right.
On Blog Talk, as well as a Sunday show on WVON in Chicago. So, yes, Dr. Ava, the question about what led you into the field of law and using law as the tool for freedom, justice, and equality.
Yes, sir. It had to have been a law because I was not interested in the legal profession. My interest was in journalism initially. And because of growing up in a conscious Black home, I wanted to attend an HBCU, though we did not call them that back then. But I wanted to attend a Black college. I applied to Howard University and they never answered me. And then I applied to Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio, and they responded, and my parents took me there because it's only 50 miles from my home, Columbus, Ohio. And I went and said, I wanted to major in journalism, and they did not offer journalism as a major. And so I changed over to a double major of history and political science. And because both of my parents were educators, and our house was the house where knowledge was something that we adored and we pursued. And similar to Sister Pamela, you knew about Malcolm, you knew about Dr. King, Booker T. Washington, Frederick Douglass, etc. And so I just decided to do political science and history. And then partway through getting my undergrad, I decided at some point I wanted to be a surgeon.
Dr. Haver, could you,
yes, ma'am.
We couldn't see your beautiful face. There we go. Okay, there we go. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I'm so inept when it comes to technology.
You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job.
But at some point I decided I wanted to be a surgeon and go to med school. Then I realized I had zero aptitude for the medical profession. and I ended up applying to Georgetown University Law. Somebody on the campus, a brother walking by, asking me on the campus, he said, "You need to be a lawyer."
Wow.
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 Yeah, that sounds good because I loved school. I really loved being a student, and I wasn't ready to get out when I got my bachelor's, so I went to law school. Yeah, it wasn't like some epiphany or anything like that. I wandered into it. And then, of course, ultimately it ended up having value, great value in this story.
And you weren't ready to live. And look what we have here today. We need to find that brother.
Yes,
And
we do.
And I
don't know what he did, do we?
I can see him in my mind's eye. I don't remember who. So I guess Allah used him, as an angel
Yes.
to tell me. Because the greatest thing law did for me was qualify me eyes, not being a prosecutor or a defense lawyer, but when Minister Abdul Karim Muhammad felt that because I have the law background, I would be a good help to Minister Farrakhan. And when I came into the nation in New York City in number 7, Brother Karim recommended to the minister that I relocate to Chicago.
Wow.
Because of my law background and some of the legal things that Sister Barbara, Brother Larry, and myself had done and were doing for the mosque. So that's the greatest thing my law degree ever did for me, was get me to Chicago to work with the minister.
Wow. Excellent.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. Dr. Ava, you have many books. You are, I say, a Nation of Islam best-selling author, which is just phenomenal. I have all of your books. Oh my God. You
Crazy.
also are a radio host. You are a blogger. I can't believe you're not social media savvy, because you are doing everything that's connecting the people to the message of the Nation of Islam. I just had a really quick question. We're talking about business and law and justice. What was it that helped you to decide to go into the radio aspect, what it is that you're doing? What was the desire, and what was that about? How did you move in that direction?
Now you're talking into what I really wanted in life. And when I was coming out of college in the early 70s, you didn't have a lot of Black anchors and broadcasters. And then you had maybe 2 or 3. And I'm trying to think of some of the names, very well-known people, but this whole field of Black folks in television and radio did not exist, except, of course, Black radio. But broadcast journalism was always of interest because I always enjoyed teaching. I love sharing information. That is my happiness, is when I find out something, I love to tell another person. And I was like that as a child. And I was the one that used to give away answers on the test. I was what they call a geek or a bookworm in school. So I was always ready for the exams. And I love to say, I know the answer. And I was the person in class that when the teacher said, what happened this year? And I'm like, ooh, you had your hand. Ooh. I know. And so that's what led me when social media made its advent. I was thrilled because I love the idea of the freedom of the individual. And I think that as Minister Farrakhan has acknowledged Steve Jobs and others who made the individual gain access to power, just like we're on this medium right now. That to me is a joy. And so when I was appointed as national spokesperson, of course, you know, you go in and out of the mosque, and I've always gotten invitations to speak different places, but the idea that you can go over the airwaves at will, to me, manifests the truth of the supreme wisdom lessons. This is our freedom, our ability to communicate without having to meet the approval and of someone who's in control. And even though you have your platforms like YouTube and Facebook and all that right back, because white people are divided among themselves.
Yes.
And there are those who have the comprehension, as he said, the synagogue of Satan. They understand who he is, but the regular white people, and then that greedy level, they want to make that money, and they know Mr. Farrakhan is the draw. All right, so they're gonna always go back. That's why you see Colin Kaepernick now, who stood up like a man and made a sacrifice, and then he gets the Nike commercial. Not the Negro slaves who were sucking up, but somebody that stood up to be a man or a woman. Because as the minister said at the press conference in Washington last year, it is our time. That's what we need to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Their time is up. So every endeavor that we pursue will succeed.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Now, one of the beautiful things about this panel, every person on this panel is a business person. So, Sister Pamela had the opportunity yesterday when we were doing our test run and conference call. She was dropping so many jewels, and she mentioned that her undergraduate is in business. So in addition to the law, Sister Pamela, or the law jurist, what other business adventures have you delved into?
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. That's interesting. As I'm thinking, one of the things I was blessed to do is open up a store. And back around 93, right around the Million Man March time, as a result of my desire to go back to the community that I came from, because I was so sick of the young people being scapegoated, accused of being super predators, you know, being just demonized and slandered because they were at that time targeting the Black youth and destroying them, you know, at wholesale. That was the time of the 70% increase of incarcerations in juvenile law. So I said, you know what, I want to be there, because our young people, they need to be fed books. You know, they need, one of the other things I was looking at the time was how the Asian people were coming into our communities. That was kind of at the beginning. And at that time, they were being very disrespectful of our dollar. You know, they were, I actually one time got, you know, thrown out stores. You know, Black women, you couldn't try on anything that you wanted to buy. So, you know, at that point, I was wanting to go back and be in my community where I felt like I could make some money, as well as be there with, you know, with the people that I care.
Her sound went out.
I was tired of seeing our people at the point when they're entering these courtrooms. So that was a very successful business in my mind, because I was able to employ youth. They were, you know, young people kind of hanging around, no jobs. They'd come in, they'd sweep, you know, they learn some business skills. Actually, my nieces and nephews, I was able to employ that whole 18, 19-year-old generation. And I believe we look back at it and laugh, you know, not to mention the brothers would come in with the final calls. And at that time, I wasn't in the nation. So, you know, oftentimes my sales maybe weren't as high as I would have liked, or you know, I didn't have as much traffic. So sometimes I'd be sitting reading, you know, and I got to a point where I had this wall of all the cartoons, you know, in the final call. But the point is that we were able to expose the community to some art, some culture, some business, and I really loved doing that. That was just a very, and I actually was at the beginning of the pager, when pagers, this let you know what time it was. And we began to sell some pagers, and we were making $30 on each pager we sold. And my point is that sometimes I look back and say, if you had stayed in pagers and then went to cell phones and went to all the other things, that those are very lucrative fields now. So who would have known? I didn't know that's where we were going. But yeah, that's an example of a business that I did. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Maureen talks about all the time about us developing businesses so that we have the younger people, our children and others around, will have somewhere to go. They go off to college, and where do they have to go? They have to go to someone else's business. But if we do, that's why we like to showcase these platforms so that people like yourselves and others who are in business, your business increases. Your business increases. What you need? You need employees. You need more people. So we're teaching our youth to qualify themselves for these positions. We have to have the positions awaiting for them. So we definitely like that aspect. Minister Ava, you are a businesswoman. You delve into various other businesses. What are some businesses that you've been a part of?
Oh, everything. Multi-level marketing with my husband, with a wellness company, and of course my books and lectures caused me to make that foray into business. And I did want to say quickly, because I've got to sign off shortly, to the point you just raised, Jackie, about our youth.
Did our sound go out?
Yes.
Okay, we're not hearing you. We were hearing you and then it went out. We see you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. I was just saying very quickly that I had Brother Nuri Muhammad and Brother Carlos Muhammad, who are both student ministers in the Nation of Islam, on my WBON show yesterday. And they talked about their experiences with the Black students in the Detroit public school system.
Oh, right.
And I really want to encourage the Executive Council to make sure they come in and speak on a national webcast, because on both the spiritual and financial and educational level, it was phenomenal. But what to your point about having something for them to do, I think our problem as a people is, even when we develop business savvy, we don't have the overriding spiritual unity and goal that will drive us to do what we need to do to build that environment. The reason the movie Black Panther resonated with the Black community is that it gave them a visual representation of a Black reality. But if we're not driven by the goal of separating and going for ourselves, then when we send our children to school, they may be learning business, but they're not learning anything to free them of the slave mind and the desire to assimilate. See, that connection with Caucasian people is what has to be broken. And the only way to do that is through the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Wonderful. So before you go, Dr. Ava, please share contact information with those that are watching. They want to invite you into their city to come in and speak. I know you're doing a tour on separation.
Yes.
You have a plethora of books, dynamic lecturer, and as you say, this is a business. I want those that are listening to know it is a business. Yeah, you have to offer more than a dinner to bring our expert in. It takes remuneration in order to move people across the country. I'm just saying, you know, people of Pamela's caliber, Dr. Ava's caliber, Dr. Barbara's caliber, Sister Shireen's caliber, Sister Sandy's caliber, they have spent years and years and years perfecting their profession and their craft. I'm on the speaking circuit. I know all of these ladies could easily draw $10,000 per engagement on certain platforms. Easily do that. So just keep that in mind as Dr. Ava and Sister Pamela subsequently give you their contact information. You want to bring them into your cities. I just had to throw that plug out there for you, Dr. Ava and Sister Pamela.
Yeah, I'll give the easiest, shortest one, ministerava.com, ministerava.com. And I am also, as you all noted, I am on every Thursday night at 7 Central, 8 Eastern on Elevated Places. And that's at blogtalkradio.com/Elevated Places. And also Sundays on WVON Chicago, the 3rd largest urban talk radio station in America. And that's every Sunday live at 4 Central, 5 Eastern. So tune in. And if you're not in Chicago, just download the iHeart app on your phone. But thank you all so much. And love you all. Appreciate you.
Love you.
Love you too. Thank you.
Keep up the
Karen. Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Now you have to go to the visual platform now, Dr. Ava. So something to think about. We need to talk. We can talk.
That's right.
Before you go, I just wanted to, you know, these are the things I wanted to mention, like this.
That's right.
Right. Then it was this. And then it was this. And then it was this. And then it's this.
Thank you for that.
And then it's this. And then it's this.
Wow.
And then it's this. So you have been an inspiration to me.
Yes.
From the time that I met you. For this. So, in fact, I think, well, this one is not inscribed, but some of them, this one is inscribed, 2001.
Wow.
And many of the other ones are inscribed, but just an inspiration to follow your passion. One question I wanted to ask, and I know you need to go, so if you have time, you can. If not, answer it on another platform that you're on. And that is, what has the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, has done for you in terms of elevating all that you have learned in getting your degree as a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am. Well, in some, there's man's law and then there's God's law. And to be able to have the benefit of the revelation of the presence of God himself in this time, and to be introduced to natural law and the divine principles that govern this universe. First of all, it saved my physical life because I was suffering from cancer and on chemotherapy. And these are really the life-giving and life-saving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And that I will forever be grateful for, because as I went through law school, though I didn't just decide to go there, the brother told me to go there. Once I got in,
he's somewhere saying, that was me, that was me.
But once I got into the study of law, particularly the Constitution and my great love of history, I fell in love all over again with it when I was introduced to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Praise be to Allah.
And I just want to say one last thing with Dr. Ava. For all of those who do not know, she is the first woman.
That's right. Go ahead.
Minister in the Nation of Islam.
Right.
When the
Yes.
Honorable Minister
Word of
Farrakhan did that, they were like, oh no, they ain't Muslims. They ain't real Muslims. They ain't real Muslims. He is the first. So that is for us. I tell you, it is monumental. It is groundbreaking, trailblazing, and truly has inspired all of us little girl to be the best that we can be. So I just wanted to say that piece. Love you so much.
Love you all.
Love you.
And you look absolutely fabulous, girl.
Praise be to Allah. And so do all of you.
Yes.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Love you.
Get a family the greetings from us. All right, Sister Pamela, how can one get in contact with you? We know that you are an advocate for children's rights for parents. So those that are going through those types of ordeals, and I was so elated in the sense of understanding the brilliance that you have and your passion for what you do. So please explain further, if you don't mind, the aspect of law that you advocate and how one can get in contact with you should they have questions or need your services.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. All praises due to Allah, Brother Jahi. They can reach me, my law office number, 281-208-3888. That's 281-208-3888. And my email is PamLegal, that's one word, PamLegal2000@gmail.com. So, and we have a organization called the Coalition for the Preservation of the Black Family, along with Coalition for the Preservation of the Black Family. And I was listening as you asked me the initial question about the business, the store that I started. It made me think of how this is my same passion in terms of preserving the Black family in the best image, because at my store, we used to sell Black art. That was my thing. I wanted to show positive imagery to our youth. Yeah. And so once again, we're at a point now where the disintegration and the attack of the Black family has just reached a zenith. I mean, they want us to, they want to destroy a parent's right to even make decisions regarding their own child. They went from wanting to destroy the children wholesale by labeling them as super predators, by locking them up at a 70% increase in like 2 years, this 70%. But now you're seeing mothers are actually delivering their babies and having to hide out because they're actually, with these racist child welfare policies, committing genocide. And so, this is something, it's like, how did I get into this? One of the things when we start businesses, we always have to look at what is our target market.
That's right.
Our target market tended to be, who did I jive best with? Well, I found myself with single mothers, because in the criminal justice system, a lot of times the young men or the young women would come to me and it would be their mothers oftentimes, in the home. So they began to be someone, a lot of times you see them coming in, they're just at their wits' end, they're stressed because their children are being attacked. Another target area that I've seen is you have the fathers, you've got the young Black men who the system, of course, we know things like child support, oppressive child support laws, where you can still be incarcerated, have your license suspended. In Missouri, they're making them pay child support, but they won't even give them access to their children. So, I mean, a lot of times young men, unfortunately, when some of our women are playing into that, oh, I can call the police on you, or I can have you locked up, or I can fabricate and say there's, maybe I'm afraid of you, when really you're not. Sometimes I found that there was no one to speak for young men. And I believe in the preservation of the family, that you need the father as well as the mother, even sometimes when the relationship can no longer be. And, so that's where I started seeing this. But as I began to continue to represent these women, I noticed that there was a pattern developing. And the pattern is that pretty much the system is being used against us. And we've got new articles out now where the child welfare system is being called the new Jane Crow. So what does that mean? We're talking about Jane Crow, or, Jim Crow, where you had the black codes being used to actually enslave us, chain gangs. Well, now, and we can even go further back than that and look at families, Black people, their children didn't belong to them. You didn't belong to your spouse. You belong, quote unquote, to your master, but the children you had, they did not belong to you. So we've got that same mentality now being made where just because you're Black or you are maybe on welfare, there's a thought that you need to be surveilled. You need to be supervised because you don't make good decisions, i.e. So, you've got, in Texas, there was an article that just came out. A Black child is 8 times more likely than a white child to be removed from their home. Now, that was in Austin area. So they say the state average is about 2 times as much. But, we know that I think in the state of New York, they're saying 93% of the children in the child welfare system are Black and brown.
Wow.
And, it's really coming out now that just like the Black men are being targeted when they're in their vehicles, when they're in the park, now Black women are being targeted for the purpose of taking their children in that same unreasonable search and seizures, stop and frisk. And so, for example, some of the things you're seeing in this new Jane Crow is, a woman who is trying to get formula, because she's asking her, baby daddy to bring her some formula because of this baby she just delivered. She goes downstairs to get the formula. Someone outside might be smoking weed in this housing complex that she lives in, and the police make a sweep. Well, they arrest her too. And now the child, she's separated from her child for 6 months, while she's having to jump all these hoops that she can't even afford, and look at the trauma to the children. So this attack against our families is real, and it's at a crisis level. So what we're doing is we're kind of using the model of the LOC, because I believe that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in telling us, admonishing us, we've got to make our own communities decent and safe places to live. That means that we've got to, as I think Sister Ava said, we've got to step out and be courageous, because another aspect of business is that you've got to be creative. So in some ways, the networking that I do when I'm in the community, meeting people that may have similar issues, of course, I might be able to serve them from their legal issues, but at the same token, we're serving. We are, taking this bull by the horn, because the loss of our children is going to cost us greatly, whether or not even if they're not biologically my child. So, we've got this coalition made up of other professional women, women who may be aggrieved. And what it is that, the beauty is, I think it's really, we're living in a time of truth, where truth is, in the legal profession, for example, because I've been a practicing lawyer, like the sister said, for over 26 years. And this was my first job, right? So our profession is one where they try to box you in and everybody sits around and scratches and where they don't itch, kind of pontificate on what a problem is, when the problem really is racism. The problem really is our people don't have resources. The problem is all the drugs, like for example, these DWI laws. Well, one of the first things as I began to become aware and reading the minister's articles and listening to the nation, you do see, well, how can all these people be being sent to jail for DWIs and all of this, but you got a liquor store on every corner. But then when they
Two
come
of them.
to the courtrooms, it's all
Yeah.
your responsibility. You're the one who has to pay the price. And, you know, I'm going to be honest and say that when Judge Kavanaugh was on his, the
Right.
Supreme Court judge who just got, you know, whatever, not elected, was elected.
Confirmed to the
Confirmed.
Supreme Court.
Yeah, appointed to the United States Supreme Court. I thought his demeanor and his past, it really gave you insight into what a judge looks like in America, because a lot of them come from being these raucous, you know, heavy drinking, heavy, you know, some of them are using drugs. I know that's what I saw in law school. But then when they come on these benches, they become these holier than thou.
Angels, right,
using
never did anything
law,
wrong. Right.
Right. You know, using the law to incarcerate and really break down our families. So, you know, the sister, I think when she read my my bio there, I was talking about what you call 1983, you know, which is this law where if you have police brutality in the Black community, a lot of times you're seeing these officers sued, you're seeing, you know, on the basis of what they call 1983, which honestly was the law that was enacted to protect us from the Ku Klux Klan. Because at one time you knew that the Ku Klux Klan, was the prosecutor, he was the sheriff, he was the judge, and they would take off their robes and they would go in and then they would preside. We knew that, you know, with our foreparents growing up in Mississippi, but now it's only becoming as obvious. But, you know, we have to really face the fact that it's the same legal system that, you know, there's nothing changed. It's just a little bit more crafty. But, you know, that's really what I see. And so we have to make our own communities safe. And I think you and I talked about it yesterday, how this is an excellent opportunity for the entrepreneur who wants to you know, look at the issue and figure out how to build something that can help solve this problem. And you know, and in the past, there have been, you know, you know, there's been this lack of appreciation for the plight of the quote unquote urban poor, you know, and so those of us who may have had the skill sets didn't have the desire. And so, you know, the people got left with all these people who didn't care nothing about them, just collecting a check. Because like Sister Ava was saying, her parents were teachers, or Brother Jahi, you know, coming out of Mississippi, I had 6 aunts that were teachers. Right. So, you know, they were educators. And so they educated many of us, but, you know, then there's that section of our people who didn't get some of that knowledge. So it's up to us to make sure that their needs are serviced. Too many times, you know, we pick up the phone. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see. You know, too many times we call in the enemy, the law enforcement sometimes when it's not necessary. And then that's when all the traps start. Oh, okay, well, why don't you come down here? Oh, well, why don't you get this bond? Oh, well, we'll just take your child, you know, and then you got this big web where some of this, we're going to have to go back to how we were prior to integration, where we took care of
the problems. And beautiful. And that is the purpose of, that's why we want to highlight, or we chose, Sister Sandy, Sister Sharina and I chose to incorporate this platform to bring attention to the 9 ministries which Honorable Louis Farrakhan gave us in order to do just that he said in 2016, to make our community, our own communities, a safe and decent place to live. So we have the conflict resolution centers. We have brothers and sisters in every community who are able to help resolve whatever those issues are that people are having. Now, from a business standpoint, we have to let them know that we are there. So this is part of it. So those of you who are listening, we thank you all for tuning in. We thank you for the comments that were being made. Sister Barbara's son, Brother Khaled, he's tuned in. So he got to hear his mama say something before we sign in. Brother Jamil Muhammad of the Woodward Group, he's tuned in and listening to us. Brother Chef Darrell, Sweet and Tangy Sauces, always tune in. We thank you, dear brother, and we're going to have you on the show very soon. Our brother Joseph in Chicago is tuned in, and also got to give a shout out to Belle D Couture. I think Sister Shireen may be rocking some of that stuff. They have a big event coming up, so we'll be announcing that as well. Thank all of you and others that are tuning. Brother Daniel X, been on with us since the beginning.
Wow.
So there are people listening, and there are people with solutions or have aspects to the solution. One of the jobs that we want to have is to bring these minds to some type of light, some type of forefront, so others know that they exist, that Sister Pamela is out here doing what she's doing. Sister Barbara is out here doing what she's doing and been doing it for a long time. Dr. Ava, Attorney Kiana, Judge Warren,
Yes.
Brother Maurice, Judge Maurice in Alabama. As far as the law, we have law enforcement officers among us as well. Brother Andre in Memphis, who's been on the show several times, who does the call to prayer, the Adhan, doing the Ramadan prayer line, and so many others. There's tons of us out here doing it. We want to use this platform to be able to announce them. So, Sister Barbara, any words that you have to share, especially since your son is listening in as well? He wants to hear from his mom.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm really proud of my son Khalid, because he saw me from the time he was a little boy handling law, and I had a law office, which was a business. And he is now a businessman just from, experiencing his parents being in business. And I'm very proud of him. And the other thing I want to say is that, similar to Sister Ava, I didn't start out wanting to be a lawyer. I was also in business school, Sister Pam. I have a business degree, Bachelor in Business Administration. But I wasn't ready to stop going to school. So I said, let me see if I can get into the MBA program. And then, like this young man said to Sister Ava, why don't you be a lawyer? My first husband, I was married when I was 18. He said to me, why don't you go to law school? I'll support you. So I applied to both things. I got accepted by 5 law schools, so that did it. And I went to law school, but I didn't plan it. That's all I wanted to say. Mm-hmm.
And look at y'all now. This is absolutely phenomenal.
Allah did it. Allah did it.
Yes,
yeah. Through people had them whisper in y'all's ear like the dude. That's a dynamic story when it's a dude just walking by, go to law school.
Allah made him do it.
And both of you, all of you are brains. You're like Sister Shireen. She's always in somebody's class or somebody's school. She got about 14 degrees working on number 15. So just a thirst. And Sister Sandy always taking a workshop. We rarely see her now because she's always getting that continual learning. So this is absolutely phenomenal. Before I'm sure Sister Shireen has some questions. Sister Sandy, I want to thank everybody personally for tuning in and for spreading the word about the show. I want to thank my brother Ken Hilliard here at Cafe Ulu for allowing me to extend my stay past the closing hours, but I got to get out of here. It's FOI class time, so I'm out. We look forward to seeing everyone next week. Please tune in next week, same time as we do the final show for the month of October with Ministry of Law and Justice. I'm out. Y'all don't have to go nowhere. Y'all stick and stay. But I will.
But this is what I would like to do is to read from page 40 in Message to the Black Man. Right. This is Message to the Black Man. Page 40. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says. He says, "Get an education, but one which will instill the idea and desire to get something of your own, a country of your own, and jobs of your own." I recall in 1992 or 1993, when a debate was taking place in Congress concerning appropriation of funds for Howard University, a school set aside to train my people in the nation's capital. A senator said this, and it is in the records to be examined in effect. What would be the need of the government appropriating money to educate Negroes? He said, that they would not teach our people the science of modern warfare, defense, birth control, or chemistry. He knew these things free people must know in order to protect, preserve, and advance themselves. We have not been able to protect, preserve, and advance ourselves. This shows the slave master has been very successful in dominating us with an education beneficial to him. I just wanted to read that because each and every week, you know, we would open our show with saying in the original chart of Howard University, it is written that they are not to ever teach us the science of warfare and the science of mating. And Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan teaches us that warfare is business, and the science of birth control and the science of warfare. And he teaches us that warfare is business and birth control includes the science of mating. So I wanted to make sure that you knew exactly where it comes from on page 40. And also, as we were talking, Sister Pamela, you know, she and I, Sister Sandy, you missed it yesterday. When we had the test run. 5-minute test run lasted 2 hours.
Yes, ma'am.
She and I was going.
Did we lose you?
I have been in education for over 20 years, and so in that we were like,
oh my
yes,
I missed it. I missed it.
And part of it wasn't recorded, but I did record the second part and recap. You know, so I did a recap. But we were getting it in with regards to the safety of our children. So with that in mind, I want to read from Minister Ava's book, A New Way of Life. I have 8 of them. I meant to ask her if that was it. I think that is it. So I want to know, when is number 9 coming out, Sister Ava? Okay, so anyway, A New Way of Life. And you can go to ministerava.com. That's www.ministerava.com.
You're breaking up, Sister.
Oh my goodness. I think it's my internet. Is it coming in clear now? No? Yes?
Okay. Yes. Okay, we hear you now.
Okay. So where it says, we are following a revolutionary teaching, the message of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan. We cannot complete our lives just being. We have to learn to move now in accord with change. This means the comfort zone we have found, we are going to have to say goodbye to. And we are going to have to go through a little period of distress and trepidation. But if we all move together as a people, parents and children, it won't take long. Parents, you are not observing your children. You're letting other people observe your children. What did I say earlier about divine law, about the law of physics? The observer alters that which the observer is observing. I affect you just by looking at you, and you affect me by looking at me. When we send our children off and put them in a strange person's educational system, put them under the supervision of stewardship of strange people, they are altered by those who look over them. I just wanted to share that because part of what the discussion with Sister Pamela had to deal with, how our children are being taken from their families and put in homes that are not of family. You know, foster care sometimes will give the children to other family members and things like that. So we got into this discussion because I'm on the education end. And I see how some of us send our children to school. And we send them ill-prepared. We send them without the necessary nourishment, without the necessary foreknowledge or foundational knowledge, and we know that what's at the root of it, but we have to get better. So we're talking about a new way of life. We're talking about embracing the idea of making sure that we are observing our children, that we are taking the time to instill in them that which will make them successful. And if we don't know, and most of us do not, then we have to get into a class that will teach us. Be the first one online for the teachings. Be the first one in class so that you can give your children those teachings that will make them be successful. That's all I wanted to reiterate to us. It is 7:52. I don't know if anyone else has anything to say, but I am on fire. I'm lit. I am ready. As Brother Jahi said, I love to study. I love to share, and I'm thankful for this opportunity to share this platform with you. This is my classroom. It's designed for me to learn from those who are out there doing it, like Sister Barbara. You know, she is like amazing to me. She is one who has been steadfast, and she's reachable, y'all. You know how sometimes you get people who have climbed this pinnacle and they have made it to a place in life, and then you can't touch them. Like, you know, Sister Barbara is reachable. She's lovable. I can hug her and kiss her. I can, you know, hold her hand. I could put my cheek on hers, and it's amazing. I look forward to doing the same with you, Sister Pamela. So may Allah continue to bless us all. I'm excited.
Oh, wow. Yes, ma'am.
All praises due to Allah.
All praises due to Allah. Yes,
You
ma'am.
and Sister Sandy, y'all are amazing.
Yes,
We are a reflection of you, Sister Barbara. We're trying to grow up and be like you and Sister Pamela.
That's right.
So much. I love y'all.
I'm telling you, we are a reflection of you, and we have had such a phenomenal show. Sister Barbara, was there anything
Awesome
else?
tonight. It was awesome last week. It's awesome all the time.
Crazy.
Yes.
To Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Well,
Well, I just wanted to share, Sister Shireen, that we have had over 1,000 shares tonight on this show.
wow.
Yes, our numbers are growing. We appreciate all of you who are tuning in. We appreciate you growing because of you. You are important to us just as we are important to you. So thank you for tuning in. Please continue to tune in, and please continue to share, because these are indeed life-giving teachings for all of us. We appreciate you. We love you. And that's all for me, y'all, tonight.
And y'all are doing an awesome job.
Awesome job. And if I could say,
Go ahead, Sister Pamela.
can I comment?
Yes,
ma'am, absolutely.
please.
Okay, I just wanted to say, because, you know, I believe as well that mentorship is so important. And you all know in business, you know, this concept now about business mentorship. When I started practicing law, I can't stress the importance of having a mentor to show you. And so people like, when I was out of law school, I had others, but the Nation of Islam, beautiful people like Sister Barbara Muhammad. She's been an awesome mentor to me. Sister Ava Muhammad, awesome mentor. And that's important even when it comes to our families, because they need mentors. You know, what we know is going beyond a point. Now, we got over almost 2 million children have parents who are in jail. And that trickle-down effect is resulting in people who are not doing what they should. And so now we as Black women, we're going to have to mentor women in our community by showing them the right path, because ultimately in any relationship, you need somebody to show you.
That's
and
right.
so, you know, as a lawyer, I kind of gave up a little while ago about complaining about why the mama is not doing what she should be doing. I mean, that's a major component, but also right now, these children need our help. I mean, we've got 75% of youth in state criminal justice systems were once in foster care. You know, you got young people ages 18 to 24 make up only 10% of the U.S. population, but there are over 20% of those in adult prisons.
Wow.
You know, and so it's a crisis. That's all I'm saying. And we're going to have to get in there and hold some hands and make some mothers and fathers do what they're supposed to do to protect our children. Just like we were blessed to get mentorship from, you know, those that Allah sent into our path to help us. So I just wanted to say that. And I know it could be frustrating. It could be very frustrating. You know,
It can, but we definitely.
That is so important. I think our Sister Shireen could maybe.
Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to
Wow.
say that little sweet Khadija is doing just that. You know, she is not complaining. She's getting it done.
Oh,
You know, she is working cheerfully and fearing not. So, you know, those of you, there were a few of you who had pre-ordered, and it was due to come out for Holy Day of Atonement. It has been delayed. And inshallah, it'll be out by mid-November. So in time for that turkey dinner, whatever, you know, whatever you plan to do, however you plan to spend your family day, as we like to refer to it as, because many of us are able to get off work during that time. And so we spend time with our family. So inshallah, it will come out during that time. But what I wanted to just reiterate is the work cheerfully and fear not. So you see little sweet Khadija, she's happy, you know, but she has Little Sweet Khadija Cafe, and she is getting produce from her neighboring farmers, all the young people who are growing citrus and vegetables and fruits, and she grows all sweet flowers and makes all kinds of interesting treats with the things that she grows. And so it's an interesting read for young people to inspire them to go out and do something for themselves. And I think we can sign on.
all right.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm waiting on mine.
Okay.
Yes. Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam. Love you.
Your life center. You said, what's the date now, Sister Sandy, for your life center?
November we have. Yes, ma'am. Oh, Your Life Center. We're located in Forest Park, 406 Forest Parkway, Suite C, Forest Park, Georgia, 30297.
Excellent. And then your November event is sold out, and December.
Yes, November event is sold out. You're welcome to register for the December 16th. December 16th event for Reiki. I am a Reiki master, so you know that you have to make sure that your mental stability is just as on point as every other aspect of your life, because we could not be a business owner and entrepreneur or nothing to no one if we ourselves are not whole, feeling whole and loved and sure of ourselves. So this is one of the things that has helped me, and I'm excited to share this with everyone who's interested, to come and learn about your body, come and learn about energy, come and learn how to shift energy, move energy, unnecessary energy, how to move it just like that. We have the ability. We've been taught. We are God. So now let's operate as the God that we are. So that's
how do they register for December? How do they register?
Oh, yes, ma'am. So please, you can go to my Facebook page, Soul Wisdom INTL. That's SOULWISDOMINTL. Go to the Facebook page. There is all of the information is there for you. It talks about what it does, what the benefits, how it transforms your life, health challenges that you may have. So register there. It will take you directly to Eventbrite to register. And that's how we do it.
Okay, thank you. May Allah bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Love you all.